Hello and welcome to Odds on Bundesliga Matchday 6. We had Bayern Munich, Bayern Leverkusen, a lot of chances for company's team. I guess Leverkusen was happy with the draw, Ronan.
Yeah, they were very happy with the draw. Although some of the post-match reaction they gave, they kind of indicated they weren't. But looking at the performance on the pitch and the fact that Bayern Munich kind of dominated the match for large parts but just couldn't score, I think Bayer Leverkusen will be very happy to take a draw from Munich, and hopefully for their sakes they can win at home later in the year and make the title race a more interesting one.
Let's hope. We have this season a long title race. So far, the big surprise is also Frankfurt, second, only 1 point away from Bayern, but we have 5 teams within 3 points. So it's really interesting this season again. The Bundesliga, comment with us the video. Of course, press the like, subscribe. Let's go on now with the show. On Friday, Augsburg Gladbach is the first game. Not a great start for these sides, especially Augsburg. Only 4 points, only 1 win, lost to Leipzig, 4-0, lost to Mainz. Recently, Gladbach on the other side beat Union Berlin at least with a goal in the very last minute. The other win was only to Bochum. 2-0. I don't expect a great game, to be honest, on Friday evening, Ronan.
No, I don't think so. And like we said in previous episodes, that's probably because of the new European formats. There are more teams, more games, busier weeks in Europe. And then because of that, we're probably not going to see as many maybe interesting Friday evening fixtures. We should get plenty of interesting Saturday evening fixtures. Maybe not this weekend, actually. But yeah, this Friday fixture doesn't look the tastiest on paper. So this one is not a one I'm predicting lots of goals in. Although Augsburg, after coming off the back of a 4-0 defeat, they've been conceding a lot of goals, conceded 2 or more goals in every league game this season except the win over St. Pauli, and they've conceded 3 or more goals in 3 of their last 4 games. But unfortunately, for entertainment's sake, Gladbach haven't been a team that have scored lots of goals themselves. They've kept 2 clean sheets already themselves this season, so this one does look like it is going to be a low-scoring match. Goals scored in the first half for these teams so far this season, 0.6 versus 0.2. So don't expect a cracker in the first half anyway. So total first half goals under 1.25 could be an option here. That's 1.92. First half draw, maybe a 0-0 one. First half draw is 2.55. Could be another one. But the most common result in Augsburg between these two sides is 1-0. 2 of the last 3 games in Augsburg have been 1-0. So this one, I think, is going to be another low-scoring affair. So the best tip for me for this one just looks like total goals under 3, which is 2.
Well, then not many goals in the Augsburg Gladbach. Let's find more goals, I'm sure, in the Leverkusen Kiel. Of course, we always see goals with Leverkusen. As I said in the intro, they were lucky to get a draw. The chances were coming from Bayern side, but still they survived. 𝗵𝗛𝗏 scored the goal, and Leverkusen, remember, they are playing Milan in the Champions League. All 5 games were both teams to score for Leverkusen, and for Kiel, 4 out of 5 were both teams to score. Bottom of the table, conceded 17. So I expect plenty of goals.
Yeah, I would hope for plenty of goals in this one. And Leverkusen will be looking to bounce back after that disappointing performance. Maybe not the disappointing result, like we said at the start of the show, but that disappointing performance against Bayern Munich. They only took 3 shots in the whole game. That was their lowest ever under Xabi Alonso. So things will have to change for them, and they should really change. A home game against Kiel, it couldn't really be handed a nicer fixture at the moment in the Bundesliga, so they should get plenty of goals in this one. And looking back to the matches before that, they had scored 4 goals in 3 successive games before the Bayern Munich game, so they've been scoring a lot of goals. And also they want to keep an eye on, they've been scoring a lot of goals from set pieces this season. They have 7 goals from set pieces after 5 match days, and that's only the second team since those stats started being recorded after Bayern Munich. And I think it was in 2015-16 that did that. So yeah, this is a team that's tactically well coached, as we know, by Xabi Alonso, but can kind of kill you in many ways. So they will be looking to kind of kill Kiel in many ways this weekend. So I think this could be another high scoring game. Total goals over 4 looks a good option here for 1.95. Kiel have conceded 2 or more goals in every single game this season, including 6 against Bayern, 4 against Frankfurt last weekend. So it could be another one where they concede lots of goals. So maybe they'll concede them early. First half total goals over 1.75 is another option. That's coming in just over 2. Leverkusen to win both halves. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens either. That's 180. And Leverkusen Asian handicap minus 2.75 is where you have to kind of look for the value, because this is such a wide game in the bookies' perception of the match that they think Leverkusen should win this one and win this one big. So that's 2 if you want to bet on Leverkusen winning by 3 goals or more, if you think that's going to happen. But I like the look of Victor Boniface getting on the score sheet again. He has 3 goals in 5 games this season. He obviously didn't score against Bayern Munich, but he was scoring in the matches before that. So Victor, my main tip for this one, if he starts, obviously, is Victor Boniface anytime score 1.7.
We've seen 24 goals in Bayer Leverkusen games and in the Kiel games. So probably this is going to be a goal feast. A tricky game from the betting point of view is Union Berlin-Dortmund. This is a difficult game for Dortmund because Union Berlin are trying to get better and better at home, and it's a team that they don't concede, they don't score, only 4 goals scored, only 3 conceded for Union Berlin, 8 points, beating Hoffenheim and Pauli at home, whereas Dortmund is a high-scoring team, and also they've conceded plenty of goals. 9 goals conceded is a really high tally so far. The good news, I guess, Ronan, is also that 𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗏 is starting to score plenty of goals.
Yeah, he is. He's starting to find his form, and the stats kind of speak for that. He has 42 goals in the Bundesliga since he joined Stuttgart in 2020 at the start of the 2022-23 season. So that's the most of any player in that period in the Bundesliga. No player has scored as many goals in that period, so he's scoring a lot of goals. So he is a great option for anytime goal scorer in this match, just like Boniface for Bayer Leverkusen. 𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is a great option because he is the focal point, and you saw that in the comeback win against Bochum. He kind of helped turn things around with his clever movement and his good finishes. He was great getting into great positions. If his teammates could have found him a bit more often, he would have got more goals at that match. So I think he can be someone who can challenge Harry Kane and now Omar Marmoush for the top scorer trophy in Germany this season. So he is a great option for anytime goal scorer. That's 2.52. So I think those look like good options for him to be an anytime goal scorer. I'm not sure this one is going to be a hugely high scoring match though, because Union Berlin don't tend to play high scoring matches, and I know Dortmund are leaky at the back, but they'll tend to be leaky at the back against teams who can score, and that's not Union Berlin, like the stats you mentioned. And Dortmund seem to be a better side in the past against Union Berlin. They've won 6 of the last 7 meetings between these 2 teams, so I think they can kind of sneak out a narrow win here, but I don't think it's going to be a hugely high scoring match between them, because Dortmund, they started off the season with 0-0 and 2-0, so this could be another one of those sort of low scoring affair for them, because that's the kind of match that Union Berlin make everybody play against them. So total goals under 2.75 might be an option here, 1.83. But I think Dortmund have enough about them to win this one, or at least take maximum points here. Maybe not a convincing win, but a win all the same. So I like the look of Dortmund Asian handicap minus -1/4 here for 1.92.
Very difficult game after playing Champions League. Only, as I said, only 7 goals scored in Union Berlin games. Is the lowest tally in this Bundesliga. Bochum, Wolfsburg is the next one. The opposite, actually, for Wolfsburg. Usually really high scoring games, as you predicted, against Stuttgart, against Leverkusen, for instance, 7 goals in that game, 4 against Stuttgart, and Bochum only 1 point. The draw against Kiel. They were surprising us, taking the lead against Dortmund, but they ended up losing. Also, high scoring games recently. Last 3 games were both teams to score, so perhaps we see again plenty of goals in this one.
Yeah, but if they do, I think they're going to be all for Wolfsburg because Bochum haven't been very good this season. Like they said, they've only picked up 1 point, and they're only one of two teams. The other team being Kiel, who are without a win so far this season, and it doesn't seem likely it's going to happen here. And if you look at Bochum's recent Bundesliga form at home, it's been diabolical. 3 of their last 4 home games they've lost without scoring. So they've not been giving their fans a good showing. I know the matches are cheap to go in Germany, but they're not worth a 5 or 7.50 or whatever you're paying to get into to see Bochum at home. If they're not scoring and not winning, it's not going to be the most entertaining game or team to watch at their home ground. Wolfsburg, on the other hand, they've scored in every game this season. They scored 3 against Leverkusen. They've scored 2 against Stuttgart in their last 2 games, so they have been scoring lots of goals. So I like the odds of Wolfsburg just taking a win here, but Asian handicap minus a quarter is 1.95. That could be a safer option for that. I think it could be another match where a clean sheet looks a good option too. Wolfsburg to win to 0. These are all fairly good options, but for this one, I'm going to go for both teams to score no, because I think Bochum are just not going to score, and it's a bit safer than calling a specific Wolfsburg clean sheet in case Wolfsburg are the team not to score in this one. But I can't see a high scoring match in it.
Looking really bad. Bochum at the end of last season and at the beginning of this one. At the same time, we have Werder Bremen. Freiburg, huge surprise in the Black Forest. The defeat 3-0 against Pauli. We didn't see that coming. They were doing actually a pretty good season before that, and even they got themselves a good win against Heidenheim. It's a really tough team to beat, 3-0. Before that, a home defeat, Werder Bremen 3-4. They beat Hoffenheim. They were losing Ronan 3-0 in the 15th minute only, and they were able to come back. 6 goals only in the first half.
Yeah, they're calling this one the miracle of Sinsheim is what they're calling. They've already given them a kind of name, like the miracle of Bern that West Germany had him back in 1954. If any of our viewers are old enough to remember that one, but yeah, the miracle of Sinsheim. They came from 3-0 down after 12 minutes, the first team in Bundesliga history to overturn that sort of deficit and win. And only 8 teams in Bundesliga history have actually been 3-0 down and went on to win. So it is a kind of a very special comeback that they had, but obviously they were helped by a red card. It makes a huge difference. Jens Stage scored a hat-trick. He's only scored 3 goals last season. He only scored 3 goals the season before, so don't expect any more goals from him this year. He seems to be full for the year. And if you look at the stats as well for last season and the previous season, he got 3 assists in each of those seasons. So all he's left to do is complete 3 assists this season, and then he'll be finished. So that's usually what he provides for Bremen. But unfortunately, his wife said, or he said after the match, that he won't be putting the match ball. He's been given it. He won't be putting it on proud display in his home because his wife wouldn't allow him to put it anywhere. There's no room for it, so he said he had to put it in the basement. So it's not the most exciting thing. He won't get to talk about it when people come to visit him. He won't get to talk about that one time he scored a hat-trick in the miracle of Sinsheim. So hopefully that there is more goals in this one, and for Bremen, they should be hoping to pick up some points here. I think Freiburg, they had a disappointing defeat. Obviously, last weekend it was a shocking display, and they kind of came out after the match and defended themselves and said it shouldn't have been 3-0. The head coach Julian Schuster said that if you look at the match, it shouldn't have been that kind of scoreline because they missed a penalty. They had 2 offside goals, so they'll be looking to kind of bounce back here and get something themselves. But it's a tricky enough place to go to Bremen. This one, it could be a draw. I wouldn't necessarily rule that one out. A draw here is 3.81. Could be a good option for this one. Asian handicap, if you look at the bookies, they kind of seem to agree with Asian handicap 0 is 1.96 for Bremen and 1.99 for Freiburg. So the bookies can't really separate this either. So for this one, I'm going to go for the Bremen draw, no bet. Seems like the safest option.
Actually, the same odds, more or less, in the next game. Pauli Mainz, still Pauli slightly favorite after their first win against Freiburg. Mainz, 5 points, lost at home to Heidenheim after beating Augsburg 2-3. They also scored 3 actually against Stuttgart. And do you see also St. Pauli favorite in this one?
I do not see St. Pauli favourite. I know, like we just said, talking about that Freiburg match, it easily could have went a different way on a different day. So St. Pauli, I'm not sure why they're favoured so much over Mainz, because Mainz, we've seen their away form usually is fantastic. You have to go back to March for them to actually have lost an away game. So it's a long time since that 8-1 defeat to Bayern Munich back in March. They haven't, I think it was the 9th of March, they haven't actually lost a game away since then. So their away form has been splendid, and doesn't need to be taken into account here. Away this season as well, they've beaten Augsburg 3-2 and they drew 3-3 with Stuttgart. They're a team that's not afraid on the road. They seem to score lots of goals on the road, and it's these teams haven't played a lot recently, so there's not even kind of a historical angle to say that St. Pauli have had the better of Mainz in recent years, because they haven't played since 2010, 2011, and Mainz won both those games. So I'm not sure where the bookies have come up with this fact that St. Pauli should be the favourites for this one. For me, Mainz should be the favourites for this. Mainz Asian handicap plus a quarter looks a good option here, 1.83. Both teams to score no looks like another good option, because St. Pauli haven't been scoring lots of goals themselves. Apart from last week, that kind of has stat padded a bit for them. But yeah, it's hard to see past Mainz win. For 3, it looks like a great option here if you have the same kind of conviction that I do that Mainz can win this match.
Difficult team to predict, though, Mainz so far. Well, we have a great Sunday in the Bundesliga with 3 games with teams involved in the Champions League. First one is Heidenheim, RB Leipzig. Also, Heidenheim involved in the conference. They are doing their debut in the group stages against Ljubljana, and they beat Mainz in the last game. 9 points is a really good tally for a team that has been very busy also this summer playing previews. And RB Leipzig, it's a difficult team to trust. Ronan, we had some comments actually in our previous video. I cannot trust Leipzig after the games against St. Pauli, against Union Berlin, but they were able to improve, and 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐵 scored a brace against Augsburg.
Yeah, I had the trust in them, and I think that's why where the comments were coming from, because I made a bold prediction that Leipzig would score goals last week, and thankfully it came true. But yeah, I think other people were finding it hard to trust them because of those previous matches. But hopefully now they've found their shooting boots, and 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐵, he was the first time in his Bundesliga career that he's contributed 3 goal contributions in the same match, 2 goals, 1 assist. So maybe he's kind of put that memories of this summer's European Championship kind of disaster behind him, and maybe is able to kind of bounce back and start playing as we know he can again. So hopefully he can kind of spur Leipzig to more goals. We know how good their attack is. Openda can be a difference maker as well in his day. Xavi Simons, so they have great players, and they should have great players against a Heidenheim team who, like you said, are playing in Europe. So they have never balanced this kind of European football, domestic football before. So it's going to be a lot of extra games for them, and they don't have a massively deep squad, or they don't have the same sort of reserves to come off the bench perhaps that a team like Leipzig have. So I think Leipzig should be looking for another big win in this match. I think they should be confident that they can get a win here. The odds for a win on Leipzig look good, around 1.7. They look good if you think Leipzig can come away with this one from a win. 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐵 anytime scorer is 2.6. 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐵 to score anytime, Leipzig to win, and both teams to score, yes, could be an option if you wanted to join bets together in a bet builder. That's 4.4. Because both teams to score yes by itself is 1.65, and as we know, Heidenheim like scoring and like conceding, so that usually happens, and that usually provides entertaining matches, which leads into total goals over 3 is another option. That's 1.86. But because of the way that Leipzig's bench is much deeper than Heidenheim, I like to look in this one of a total goals in the second half over 1.75, and that's 2.
You cannot give more options and more tips in this Heidenheim RB Leipzig. No one can complain that there is no insights and options. to bet in this Heidenheim RB Leipzig, but the best game in this match day is Frankfurt Bayern Munich, first against second. We were saying last week that we had to see Vincent Kompany's men playing against tough opposition, and this is the week. First, Leverkusen, they were good, they couldn't win. Then Villa Park, and now Frankfurt, really in form with 4 consecutive wins. Still, of course, the bookies trust Bayern Munich, I guess, for a first tough game for Kompany. It was a good one. You would give him a good grade?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I think he handled it well. And on another day, if they had different forwards playing, or the forwards found their shooting boots a bit better, that they would have won maybe 3-1 in that match. So, yeah, it seemed like one that Bayern Munich easily could have won. Maybe 8 times out of 10, they probably would have won it, but they just didn't. They had much more shots, much more possession, much more everything in the match, and it kind of shows what this Vincent Kompany team is going to look like going forward, because I think a lot of the earlier matches, especially in the Champions League, in their opening game, you couldn't really tell a lot from that, or you couldn't tell a lot from some of the easier teams that they've played in the Bundesliga. But these matches against Leverkusen, Villa, Frankfurt, they're going to be hugely more difficult matches, and it'll be a proper test of what Kompany can provide. And this match, we're going to see the Bundesliga's top scorer in action, and it's not Harry Kane. Omar Marmoush for Eintracht Frankfurt is currently leading the scoring charts, and he's with 6 goals in 5 match days. It's the best return ever of any Frankfurt forward. So yeah, he is the man that Bayern Munich will need to stop, and they'll need to get the ball to Harry Kane at the other end. So obviously this looks like a match that there should be lots of goals in, because Bayern Munich, they haven't been brilliantly defensively under Vincent Kompany. We know what he was like as a footballer himself, but he's not totally brought it over into the coaching aspect of the game yet. So this one could be a total goals over 3.5. I like the look of it. 2.10, that looks like a good option. I do like the look of the fact that Bayern Munich are favourites, because if you can see Bayern Munich as favourites as anything over 1.5, it's usually a good option, because Bayern Munich tend to win most games. So it could be something worth looking into if you think Bayern Munich can win this one, or depends how they get through the European game. If they can stay injury free, if they play a strong 11 in this match, it could be a good option to bet on Bayern Munich to win this one, because 1.54 looks good for Bayern Munich win. But for this one, I just like the look of both teams to score. Yes, I think that's the best one here, because if you don't have the same convictions about Bayern Munich, both teams to score yes is usually going to happen.
Last season 5-1. Frankfurt also high odds to back Bayern Munich away in the Champions League, and 1.5 is not that high, but still is the Bundesliga, and we know that Bayern are always super favorites. And last game is Stuttgart Hoffenheim. Our eyes go directly to the both teams to score market in this game, because all 5 games of these 2 teams ended in both teams to score. Is 1.5. Hoffenheim really bad start this season. Only 3 points, only 1 win, 15 goals conceded.
Yeah, that was not a good result for them last weekend, to be leading and then have that disaster. And Zonky was sent off, obviously, and he's going to miss this match. He's missing two games, so he's going to miss this match. But it's not like he was a great player for them anyway. It's not like a key member their starting lineup, but he was a starter, so they will be weaker defensively in this one. So yeah, both teams to score looks like the best kind of starting option for any game that Stuttgart are playing in, especially because they've had 4+ goals in every single match in every competition they've played this season. So it's something I said on the Champions League show, but it's something that hopefully will continue to happen in Stuttgart games, because they're just hugely entertaining. This is a team that puts in great performances. They've had so much kind of squad change during the summer, but it doesn't seem to have stopped the way they play football. Seb Hoeneß wants them to attack, wants them to score goals, and they've been doing that. So it'll be interesting to see how they can continue that for the season, and Undav and 𝗛𝗏𝗏, if they can continue to score in every competition, because they also have very busy schedule with their Champions League run, and they have some tricky games in there. We've seen one of them already. You watched it closely, obviously, Real Madrid, that match. But yeah, I know you'd admit that Stuttgart looked a good side in that match. They didn't look like a team that Real Madrid were just going to steamroll past, like they sometimes do in the Champions League. So this Stuttgart side are a very good team, and I think they will be continue to battle at the top end of the Bundesliga and can cause problems for Bayern Munich and some of the other teams here. So yeah, both teams to score, yes, looks like a great option. Total goals over 3.75 is another good one here. That's 1.91. If you look at the average goals both teams in this match score in the second half, Stuttgart are averaging over a goal, nearly a goal and a half in the second half, 1.4 goals they're averaging this season, and 0.6 for Hoffenheim. So Stuttgart to win the second half, I think, looks like a good option here. They can maybe that's where they'll sneak out the win in this one, but it should be a high scoring match. So my tip for this one is Stuttgart to win the second half, 1.65.
It should be a really high scoring Sunday in the Bundesliga with 𝗀𝗛𝗏, with 𝗵𝗵𝗍, with Harry Kane, all informed to score plenty of goals. Of course, this is the beginning of the month, so I encourage you to try our tipster competitions. New month, new opportunity to win some money, cash prize, €1,000. For instance, in our monthly. Now, Ronan, we have a Premier League tipster competition, and even if you are a American football fan, you can also play in our NFL competition. So plenty of
touchdown.
Touchdown! Come on, and let's try your touchdown with the safe bet.
Yeah, my safe bet this week looks like a very safe bet. Leverkusen Kiel first half goals over 1 is 1.25. Yeah, that looks a good option.
Very safe, very safe.
Yeah.
ACCA?
My ACCA, I'm hoping to make it the 4th correct ACCA of the season. So we're running a 60% success rate so far. So it's going well. So Wolfsburg, Asian handicap 0, and Mainz is an Asian handicap 0, and that's a total of 3.59.
Well, let's try our luck again in the Bundesliga. Thanks, Ronan. See you next week. Bye-bye.